What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Vulkan, and today we are taking a look at a nice little entry level build for the Mage for Last Epoch. Now, this build focuses on lightning and fire damage. This will cover most of the enemy types that you're going to be dealing with in early game for Last Epoch. That includes skeletons, void creatures, the nature creatures that are on the surface, things like that. This will deal with those handily. So let's jump in, and we're going to do a very quick overview as to what we're going to be speccing into, and then I'll show you guys a little bit of gameplay. So what I have here in my passive tree is I just have a nice little 6 of 8 on Elementalist for that extra elemental damage. I jumped over to Arcane Torrent, which every 10 seconds you deal AoE damage to 5 enemies around your target. And then I have 10 out of 10 on Preparation. Every 3 seconds, your next spell deals 200% increased damage. And that is a walloping amount of damage, guys. It is massive. So, and then just to kind of tie everything together, I put 2 points into Arcanist. Now, hindsight 2020, I'm going to end up putting a couple points into Arcane Flames, just because my build has evolved a little bit over time. But nevertheless, I would take probably 2 points and put it in there. On the Sorcerer Tree, I decided to go with this one. It makes the most sense. If we're dealing fire and lightning damage and we're not getting too much into melee range, we don't really want to go into Spellblade. So I jumped in and dropped 4 points into Mana Shell for some extra survivability, 1 point into Calculated Destruction to get that 20% increased crit chance. Then 5 out of 5 on Arcane Momentum, 25% increased cast speed if you cast a spell in the past 2 seconds. And then right now I'm going between Serenomancer and Pyromancer to get my fire and lightning spells. Now we do have Volcanic Orb and Meteor available as well. So on my bars here, guys, nothing too crazy. We got Fire Shield. This is going to give us some extra survivability, and it's going to retaliate with a Fireball. If you guys watched my previous Mage video, I actually made a kind of a mirror or retaliation build, and it was super fun to go into, but this is a solid addition, and I highly recommend it early on because you're going to be dealing with some insane spike damage, so we want to make sure we survive that. Next up, we got Volcanic Orb. Now, Volcanic Orb is pretty cool. It's just an orb that, obviously, as it says, spews burning shrapnel in all directions, and it certainly does that. I'll show you guys that momentarily. We got Static Orb. Now, Static Orb is something I actually specialized into right here. Static Orb sends an orb out, and it pulls anything that it goes through in the direction of the path. So if you send it through a group of enemies, it'll pull the enemies back. They'll be magnetized, or static electricity magnetized onto that orb. But I decided to spec into Controlled Explosion. Now, wherever I send this orb, it's going to explode, and it's going to leave a group of things on the ground, like a static ground. And after that, we got increased mana efficiency. For Snap Freeze, this used to freeze enemies, but I decided to go into Snap Shock. Converted everything to lightning damage, so it's a big lightning frontal cone, and it has increased shock effectiveness and increased critical chance. Lastly is our spam ability. This is our build ability. This is our churn and burn. This right here is Chain Lightning and Lightning Blast. So essentially it is out how it sounds. It shoots out a bunch of lightning bolts that will hit different enemies and deal some significant AoE damage. So here's these things in action. So here's like the Fire Shield. Here's the Volcanic Orb. So it sends things out and then it explodes. Here's my Static Destruction Orb. So as you can see, you can spam that to leave quite a few pieces on the ground. My Snap Freeze, which is now Snap Shock, does like a frontal cone like so. And then Chain Lightning looks like this, but if you have multiple enemies, it actually forks out multiple times. So that's kind of the build as it stands so far, guys. I'm a level 33, so it's nothing crazy. I have another like 60 levels to go, but I want to show you guys some gameplay and really kind of concrete this. So let's jump over and let's check that out. Hey guys, here's some gameplay of the actual build. What you're going to see is the static orb explosions, as well as the area of effect it drops on the ground, some chain lightning, as well as snap freeze for a little bit of control. Going through this, you're going to see the end of Chapter 1, the Effigy of Silence boss, as well as the Elder Panion boss, and we're going to hop over and show off our first time travel into the Imperial area. Now I'm going to leave you guys to it, no commentary from this point onward, but let's get a conversation rolling downstairs. What do you think of the build? Is there anything you want me to try? How can we improve it? And there are also a couple legendary drops. Hope you all enjoy. See ya.